Yeah. So from this, maybe we can now look at maybe various formulas that we can use on this data set. Yeah, but let's start with asking ourselves, what are some of the formulas that you know in Excel, that are available in Excel? Let's go with Charlotte. Let us do it a bit quick because again, we know that the class won't be here for long. Charlotte, or you can even type in the comment section. Charlotte, go ahead. Any formulas or functions that you know? Uh, Lisamba, there's Isaac, Caroline, anybody to unmute? There are things we call formulas, and then there are things we call functions. Yeah. So what's the difference between the two formulas and then there's functions? Yes, Stella.
Formulas are those that you have to make them yourself to create them, but functions are inbuilt. Yeah, they come with the Excel.
Yeah, functions are inbuilt. So formulas you write by yourself. So if I have something like I have 4 and then I have 5 here, I could be having 10 here, I could be having 13 here, 20, let me say 24. Then I say is it, so when you're writing formulas or functions, you start with equal sign. Kindly remember that you start with equal sign because you write it once. So if I want to add these things, I can say is equal to, then click this and then press on plus. So the plus button is on shift and then next to backspace, utaona plus hapo. So plus this cell plus this cell plus this one plus this. And then I say press enter. And then I find the answer is equal to 56. So you can see this is a formula. I can also say the same thing I could just write by saying is equaling to 4 plus 5 plus 10 plus 13 plus 24. So that is a formula. So these two, these are formulas, all right? So that is an addition. So if somebody is having an issue with that, you can just put up your hand so that I help you out. But that is a formula, right? I may want to say is equaling to 98 or even 98 minus any number here. And then I say is equaling to negative, if I decide to put negative, so that is 72,503,538. So that is negative. So negative in most cases utapata Excel inakuwekea bracket. So that is subtraction, that is addition, right? So those are formulas. If I want to multiply the age, yeah, Amos' age, maybe Amos is aged 22. Then I want to multiply it by 9. Yeah, of course 22. And then there is shift. Click on shift and then hapo juu kwa 8 you'll find an asterisk. For somebody who might ask, how did I get that asterisk? And then say is equaling to. So that means 22 times 9 is equaling to 22 times 9 is equal to 198. Are we together? Thumbs up or thumbs down if you're not together. Sync controller portals, Joseph. Anybody who is tuuze bidhaa kusawa, David? But feel free to pause and ask me a question. Yeah, so that is a brief intro about that. So the same thing that we did here, this addition, we could now do it using a function. So functions are built in. So it comes with Excel, just as Stella had mentioned. So if I want to sum all this, I could say it's equal to sum, right? Then you can see it's giving you direction, number, comma, number, comma. So hapa tukiandika hapa 9, we don't write a plus. Actually, it won't even give. Let's try and see. Okay, so it's bringing some 8 plus 9, but of course the best practice is not to add 10 IO plus button apple. So because that is going to be redundancy. Is equal to some 8 plus 9. So, but you can see the direction here that Excel tells you is number, comma, number 2, the second number I mean. So what you could do is equaling to sum this, you write comma, 5, comma, um, comma, comma, and then another comma, and then it gives you 56. How Excel identifies a certain cell is a column, then the row. Yeah, you did matrix and you are talking about RC, row times column, but Excel now it's column times row, right? So right now I am on cell F6, and you can see here it's F6. If I change to this, I can see I'm on Q14. So Q, and then the row is 14. So that's why when you're doing that summation G2, H2, I2, so the same thing we did, you could just say is equaling to sum 4, 5, 10, 13, 24. Did we miss something? Oh, I wrote 4 here instead of 5. Yeah, so that's it. So that means under functions we have the sum function. Yeah, is a sum function. Any other function that you know? Somebody to mention the functions that they know. Amos, which function do you know?
There is some ifs.
Some ifs. Yeah. So there's some if and then there's some ifs. Somebody's hand was up. Lookup. Charlotte Maivia is saying lookup, but you prefer to add VLOOKUP. So there's lookup, of course, but it depends whether you want to look it up. There's VLOOKUP, whether you want to look it up vertical, horizontal. Yeah, of course, you can also see lookup there. But you could add VLOOKUP. Also, you could add XLOOKUP. So if you have a different Excel, it won't show you this function XLOOKUP. That is if you have less than 2019, I believe so. There's also HLOOKUP. So it depends whether you want to see it vertically, horizontally, all that. So VLOOKUP, there's so these ones are a bit, no, not really complex, but I wanted us to start with the simple one first. So SUMIF, then there's COUNTIF, then there's, even before COUNTIF, there's COUNTA, there's COUNT, yeah, there's max, there's average, average if. So we've looked at the sum function. So that is the same thing we could come back here and ask ourselves, what is the total sales that we made? Yeah, because hapa chini it does not give a grand, it doesn't have a grand total. You can see we don't have a grand total here. So you could ask yourself, like, what is the total amount of sales that was made? So that in that place you come here and say, so I want to write that formula sum, and say is equal to sum. Then Now we can just highlight this column. Are you seeing how my cursor is? The arrow is pointing downwards. But if I place it here, of course, itakuwa ni kama a cross. So place it on top of that S and just click. So it is S to S, right? So that means that we are summing anything that is going to appear on column S. Yeah. Otherwise, you could prefer to do it this way. Sum S2 to S51291. Yeah. If I press enter, I mean, it will just be the same thing. If I press enter, you can see here, and then I will introduce. So 12,642,501. Yeah. Let me repeat. Is equaling to sum. Then select this column. Press enter. You have this. Are we good? Yes? Okay. Don't feel left behind. If you do, kindly
Okay,
stop. Okay.
just a minute, teacher. Now, this the sum, but I wanted to understand the data we're having is up to 12 something. Is it 12 million or 12,000?
Not
So how
12,000,
do I quickly go down to the last, I would call it row, like just to quickly navigate through the data without having to scroll up to the, before we even get to the sum there, I don't know whether that makes sense.
Yeah, I see. You see how I'm alternating? This is your question. But what you do is, so let me go back up. So I was here. So any place you are on, you can click Control and the downward arrow. There's page down, there's page up, there's home, there's end. On your right side, are you able to see those keys? The downward key arrow, the upward arrow, the sideways.
Yeah, sure.
So click Control and then click the down one, the one going down, and then it will get you to the lowest data you have. Click the up one and it will get you back.
Okay, great. Now to my last question on the sum. If I click on the column, that is the column that you're clicking, it's sales, the column on sales. Is there a shortcut that is from, I suppose if I am to click the first number there, then click Control, then page down, it will highlight all the numbers are there. Because I was wondering if I click the cell, the column, that it could pick even sales and mess with the numbers. So it's not picking sale as, or it's only going to pick numbers if it is for sum. It's only picking numbers. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it's picking numbers, but if you want to highlight all of them, you just type sum tab and then click on this first one, and then click Control Shift and then page down. Okay. Then it selects it. So hold on to Control Shift and then the page down, and then it will select for you all the numbers that you want. Answered? Right.
Yes, assume there was a text inside there. It's going to assume the text?
Yeah, it won't add the text. So we can try it here. So if I remove this and say 67, no, that is not a text. Let me try and see. Now you see the number is changing. So sum, if we do this and then enter, you see it's not adding. It's not getting any error because it's only picking numbers.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question? That is the sum function. Now, before I go to SUMIF, let's go to count. So once you have done with the formula, you can highlight it in any color that you want. So there's sum. Then let's go to count. Somebody might want to ask you, how many data points do we have in this data, right? In this file. Of course, you can quickly check by seeing that we have 51,290. Yeah, it's 51,290 because I'm excluding the first one. The first one is the headers. But now, how do you know? By using a formula, you use now the count. So let's say is equaling to count, and then I pick one of the columns. So let me say I've picked this column, the same column that we are using. And then I find it's telling me 51,290. So that is count, eh? But I want to ask you a question. There's count, and then there's counter. So let me use, so in this case, I've used column SS, and then I've gotten 51,290. How about I do the same thing with column R? If I do this column R, it's telling me it's 0. Why is the answer 0? Isaac. No. Yeah, Isaac. Have you also gotten 0, Isaac?
Sorry, my screen is going on and off.
Why is it going on? But of course, you can see what I've done. So I used column S, it got me 51,290. I used column R, it got me 0. What is the issue with that formula? Or is there is no issue? Eh?
Okay. I don't know. I could try.
Okay.
Because for count, I suppose it's only counting the cells that has got numbers. Looking at when you type the formula, it says cell that has numbers. I don't know whether you can try.
Yeah. That is basically the answer. That count will only count numbers. Yeah. Otherwise, let's try, because this time we used RR. Yeah. You see, we used I hope my screen is still visible. Yeah. So we used RR. So if we decide to maybe insert 2, 3 here in this place and then press enter, you can see now it's updating to 1. Otherwise, Control Z gets us back to where we are. So count will only count numbers. So we counted numbers and we got this part to be 51,290. So it did not count this part of cells. So now counter does the opposite by counting everything. Yeah. So if I use the same one that we used, you can see this 51,291. Similarly, if I use the other one, which is this, it is going to count for me 51,291. So that is the difference between count and counter. Difference between count and counter. Are we together? Thumbs up for if you're together, thumbs down, and be asking questions or maybe stopping when you feel there's something that is not well explained. Erickson Murungi, Victoria Kature is doing a thumbs up. Only David Njoroge, Tuze Bidha, Musembi, Radovan, Eileen. Okay. Judictio. Let's now talk about, so this is sum, this count, this counter. What else? Yeah, somebody might also want to ask you, of course, now these are sales. What is the maximum profit that we made, right? So that of course introduces you to or maximum profit or maybe maximum sale that we did. So that introduces you to the formula called max. Yeah. So max is for maximum, mean is for minimum. Yeah. So you may want to see, you have maybe data of age groups ama age ya watu. What is the maximum age? Maybe ni hivi. What is the minimum age? You use mean to get that. Think of it that you have like even 100,000 rows of data. So max, now you just write, this is just simple, is equaling to max, and then you select this, press enter. You can see that we have the maximum value is 22,638. That was the maximum sale that was made. Minimum, how about the minimum sale? You can just tap and then go to this one, press enter. So minimum sale, there was 0.44. There was 0.44. If I select it here and say I want to see 0.44, 0.44. Yeah, you can see it is here. That was Hoover replacement belt for commercial guardsman heavy duty. So hii ilikuwa tu ni ya haraka haraka, inaitwa busy ya teketeke. There was no profit on it actually. Yeah. So that's that's it. So with the minimum, so minimum sale 0.44. What else under mean? So you can also try to get the maximum discount. Can you do the maximum discount and type the answer in the comment section? While you do that, somebody to check for the minimum profit that was made. So maximum discount, paste the number, Jermaine. The comment section. I'm waiting to read. What is the maximum discount? 0.85, Joseph Kielo. Maximum discount 0.85, Musembi. Only two people did it. Victoria 0.85. Minimum profit. Uh, 0.85. Minimum profit negative 6,600. Why is Tuuze Bidhaa Kenya and Mumbi getting different answers? Unless ya Mumbi iko rounded off. Not ya Mumbi, ya Tuuze Bidhaa. Negative 6,599.978. So yeah, either way, that is the way to use those simple functions like max, minimum. What else? So let's now talk about various variants of sum. So somebody might ask you, let's go to this place. So we have these categories. Yeah, we have these categories. And then I can list them here. That is called technology. There's also, apart from tech, there's office supplies. Office supplies. And then there's also technology. Sorry, furniture. Furniture. Yeah, so this is category. And then I have sales. So I have a table like this, and then I'm telling you, yeah, you can populate this table, by the way, even on your side. Utengeneze table kama here, and then ujiulize maswali. And one of that question is, what is the total sales that tulipata as per technology? Yeah. How about office supplies? How about furniture? Ni pesa ngapi tulipata kutoka these categories? Right? So this is where now SUMIF comes in. So I can type hapa juu SUMIF. Yeah. SUMIF. So SUMIF comes in. So I can say, so we are focusing on sales. I can say is equaling to SUMIF, right? Press on tab. So you are being asked what is the range, what is the criteria, and what is the sum range. So the range that you want to get the criteria from is category. What is the criteria? So once you've typed, you've entered the range, then type the criteria. So we could type the criteria by saying, let me show you one angle of doing it, by saying technology. Yeah. Otherwise, if you don't want to type it, because we had already typed it in the previous part hapa, we can just say the criteria is equaling to this, comma, what is the sum range? Where do we want to get the sales? The sales are to be found here. Then we close the bracket. So number one, let's go back to understanding the SUMIF. SUMIF has three parts. It has the range, criteria, and then the sum range. So the range is where we want to get our criteria. So this range is category. Then what is the criteria? Criteria is equaling to technology, which we can type by putting on quotes. Usipoweka quotes, it won't work. Comma, and then where is the sum range? Mahali unataka kufanya hiyo summation. We want to sum it, this column, based on this column S. Once that is done, you press enter. And then now you can see, you can just format it a bit. You can see technology brought in 4,744,557. So why I typed upper is because now I can be able to drag this formula. Then it will be checking what is available here. If I drag it one more time, there is 0 because hakuna value hapa. But now from now, you can see that technology brought 4.7, office supplies gave us 3.7, furniture gave us 4.1. Now let me go back to typing it again. If at all maybe sikuwa nimeandika these things. So I can say is equaling to SUMIF, right? What is the range? The range is this PP. Or the same way tulikuwa tumeifanya, you can click on this first one and control shift. Then you select the whole column. Yeah. And then what is the criteria? The criteria is technology. Technology. Once that is done, you put a comma. What is the sum range? The sum range is this. The sum range is this. Then you press enter. It gets you the same value that we had. So that is technology. So with this, if I want to check for office supplies, I'll need to copy this formula again and paste it. I'll need to copy it, control copy, yeah, and then control V, then come here and change office supplies. And then I say here office supplies. But now that is too much work here. So you could just do it this way. And then sum range is P, criteria is Z8, Sum range, wait, the range is P, criteria is technology, the sum range is SS. And then you press enter, so you have this information here. Tihame, are we together? Let me see if somebody has a question. Controller, there are people who haven't spoken here. Radovan, I'm seeing Esther. Lynette, say something. Are we together? Lynette, is Lynette available? Caroline,
Yes, I'm okay.
do you have any question?
Not yet.
Okay. Onesimus? Onesimus, are we together?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So that's it with SUMIF. I hope we are clear on SUMIF. And if there's any question, you can feel free to ask. Now, with SUMIF, you can see that we only have one condition, right? We are only having one condition. Now, how about if we wanted to do a summation based on multiple criteria? Multiple criteria. So think of it this way. I want to find out, so there is this product category, then there is the subcategories. So let me see the categories that we have for something like office supplies. So I will just uncheck them and come and click there. And then under office supplies, I can see we have appliances. Let me write them down. We have appliances, and then we have envelopes, and we have what? Envelopes, fasteners, labels. Maybe we have labels. So just think of it that somebody asks you to find. No. With subcategory, we could just come and do a direct summation with subcategory here. But I want us to do cells that are that have an order priority of critical. So they are in technology, but they have an order category of critical. I hope you're getting that, Nini. How many cells? What is the total amount of cells that we did under technology that had another priority of critical? Yeah, just randomly thinking of that. So we could say is equaling to sum ifs. So here we have multiple conditions is equaling to sum ifs. Press on tab. Now, the difference with sum if and sum ifs, apart from the fact that on the number of conditions, now you can see in this case sum range ndo inaanza. Sum range is starting. In that case, when we used sum if, sum range was ending. You can see part sum range was ending. But now if you're using sum ifs, we start with the sum range first. I hope you notice the difference. We start with sum range in this case. So I can come here and say this part is my sum range, comma. Now, what is the criteria range 1? My criteria range 1 is this part. I put a comma. Then it is asking me what is the criteria. The criteria is technology. So you also have to type it very well so that it matches what is here. Technology, comma. What is criteria range 2? Criteria range 2 is this part, comma. What is the criteria? So the criteria that you're talking about here is it has to be critical. Critical. And then once you're done, close your bracket and you're good to go. So formatting it, you can see that products, so sales that we did under technology that were critical was 367, 399.96. Yeah. Let me see. There are even other things that we could use here, segment and then technology, but because the yeah, but makes sense. So I hope you have seen the basic structure of the sum ifs and the sum ifs and sum if. Now let me give you a question. Now that you've seen sum ifs, I have this column called consumer. Yeah. Find for me, I hope we are getting, so that you type the answer. The first person to type is going to get a present. To get the correct answer, of course. So the segment is consumer. I want to see the total profit. I want to see the total profit that we made from consumer who bought office supplies. Yeah, just start with that. So total profit that we made from consumer, the consumer segment, but they bought office supplies. They bought office supplies. So the total profit. So write that answer in 2 minutes. 2 minutes is the maximum. Just a reminder, the segment is we want to see the profit that consumers who bought office supplies brought to the business. Your time starts now. Are we done? Now, let me see the comment section if it's Tuza Bidhaa anasema 253,059.98. Joseph Kilo 253,059. Only 2 people. Who is having a challenge? Yes, Isaac. Isaac, go ahead. If you're speaking, we're not able to hear you. Eileen. Eileen Akinye, have you tried it out?
No.
Why? What's the challenge?
Okay. We are using SUMIF, right? Or SUMIF.
Eileen, are you sleeping?
I'm not.
And why are you not concentrating? We're using some ifs.
So I don't know which columns I'm supposed to place at some range. I just don't know.
But I asked if somebody did not understand what you are doing. We're supposed to use this column, eh? Sindio, Eileen, just unmute.
Segment.
Yeah, and we want to see profit that consumers brought in for us. Consumers who bought office supplies.
Yeah.
Consumers who bought office supplies, the profit that we got from that end.
Yeah.
Yeah, write it for us, or you can share your screen.
No.
We will guide you.
Like I joined using a phone without the laptop, then now I'm using the laptop. This niko kwa call via phone, then niko na laptop.
Okay. But just know that presenting and people helping you out is more beneficial. Anybody else having a challenge? There is Juliet Atieno. Juliet, are you with us or with them?
I'm with you.
Okay. Have you gotten the answer? Juliet, you're on mute. Eileen, you can mute Sasa. Okay, anyway. So we were talking about somebody's putting up their hand. Onesimus, can you hear them?
I cannot see the screen.
The screen.
Yeah.
Anybody else who cannot see the screen? I think it should be visible. Unless it's Nishon and Onesimus. Are we seeing the screen? Thumbs up if we are. And what I'm typing. Yeah, Onesimus, kindly check out your Nini. Yeah, but now it's equaling to some ifs. Yeah. So it's equaling to some ifs. Wow. Some ifs. Yeah. So our sum range is profit, comma. We want to check this segment, and what we are interested in, criteria 1, is consumer. Yeah. Put a comma. Then we go back to, we wanted to see those who bought office supplies. You come here and say, put a comma and say office supplies. Office supplies. And then close the bracket. So this is the answer. The answer is 253,059.98 for those who are able to do it.
Okay, could
So
you start off again kindly? 25. You said the first sum range is the profit, right?
yeah, in this case, with some ifs, the focus, the first column that you are entering is the one you want to sum. So now we want to sum the column of profit. So maybe just going back to it. Sum ifs. So sum range, what is our sum range? Our sum range is this profit part, comma. Then now we go to criteria range 1. So there's criteria range and then there's criteria attached to that criteria range 1. So criteria range 1 is this column, your segment. So once you put a comma, you're being asked, what is the criteria? So from this side, the criteria that you want to pick is segment. We are interested in segment. Or maybe let's change it this time to even corporate, comma. What is criteria range 2? Criteria range 2 is this part under category. And then we are interested in corporates, to see the profit from corporates who bought who bought technology this time around, and then we add this. So now you can see with that we get a profit which is a bit lower, 189,895.19. Does it make sense? Or one more time? Eileen, are we good now?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I hope. So that is some ifs. So we've covered some ifs, some if marks. Then now what we want to check on is so we've talked about count, we've talked about counter. Let's talk about count if. In the spirit that we had talking about some if, we can count some if, no, count if, count if. Now let me copy this and paste it here, and then delete. And then we talk about this part to be orders. I want to know how many orders were placed under technology, how many were placed under office supplies, how many were placed under furniture. So orders, we want to check on the orders peke yake, right? So where do we get the orders? So tuko hapa na order ID. Yeah. So we have order ID here. We can come here and say, so I want to see the order IDs, the total number of orders that we have for technology. So we could just say is equaling to count if, then this range criteria. Actually with this, yeah, you can just come here and say category, comma, technology without focusing on this other part. Why are we not focusing on it? Because count, it is just going to sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one can even be done with us using just technology. Ihesabu tu technology zote. how many orders were there, right? So there is no need for us to focus on the order ID column. Yeah. So we can just come and focus on how many orders do we have for technology. So anytime we see technology here, there is always an order ID attached to it. So we can just come and count this, but we can't have orders that are 10.000. So you might need to reduce the column, the commas. So we have 10,141 orders for technology. If you drag it down, we have 31,273 orders for office supplies. And the same way, furniture, we have 9,876. If you sum these things here, inafaa ikupee ile 51,290 that you're talking about. If you drag it here, you can see here 51,290. So that is COUNTIF. So COUNTIF this column contains what we have written here, technology. How about if we introduce something very foreign and say even missiles? That there's zero. Hakuna a product category called missiles, right? So 10,141, 31,273, and all that, and so that is COUNTIF. Simple, right? Yeah. So count for us, because the business might also want to know how many orders are critical. Wait, not even critical. Talk about medium. Or start with critical, then go to medium. Actually, just select all of them and find for us ngapi ni critical, ngapi ni high, ngapi ni low, ngapi ni medium. So create a table hivyo, have it somewhere here, count those orders that are critical, utuambie ni ngapi, high, low, medium. That should take you less than a minute. And I need somebody to tell me how many ziko na low. Haraka faster. That one I think is simple. Haya, tuuze bidhaa ashapata critical ni 39.32, but it might need to be seconded. Find all of them, tuuze bidhaa, tuambie critical ngapi, medium ngapi, high ni ngapi, low ni ngapi, hivyo hivyo. Somebody else to type ya high. Kuna watu wajaongea hapa, and that is Stella. Stella, how are you doing? Have you found the answers to low? Stella, you're on mute. Kezia? Victoria Kathura is saying 15,501. Hiyo ni gani? Or high? Musembi Radovan is saying 29,433 for medium. Yeah. Controller for low. Have you gotten the low one? Controller?
Yeah, I think I've typed 2424.
Okay. Anyway, So the key thing, of course, you just write here critical. So you see how that helps a business to make decisions. Which ones should we ship out? Which ones should we maybe still maintain? Critical. Yeah. There's this high. Medium. Yeah, somebody's hand is up. Yes, Juliet.
Okay, I have a question,
Yes.
but on some.
Wow.
Now, for instance, I'm given a set or a group of data, and I want to like count the total sum of that specific data. But then again, definitely I'll get a total down there. But then again, if is there any way or any possible way that this data can one of the cells cannot be included in the sum?
Possible dates are okay, like
no, unless unless there's a break.
I don't think I can go
unless maybe one of the places does not have data. So, for example, if this place lacks data, let me say this one lacks data. Or Control Z. Let me just show you something. Control Z. Or let me remove it from here and delete. And say I was to select, instead of selecting heavy, for some reason I used this. You see that? For some reason they picked it this way. You will see hizi zingine they will not be picked. Sindio, Juliet? That is if like data is lacking here. But if I just click huku, there's minimal possibility that one of the cells inaweza kosa kuwa picked. But if I go it by this way, you hit on Control Shift and then your down arrow, you might miss some of your data.
Okay.
So Saturday, based on
asking.
Yeah.
Sasa kama nimeweka yote hivyo hadi chini total,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially these M-Pesa codes.
Yeah.
With the total amount.
Yeah.
Now, you might find maybe a customer anasema, no, your data is wrong from my M-Pesa statement, you know?
Yeah.
But when we go and count, okay, there was one instance, one cell didn't recognize the data. So I was asking if there's any way possible a cell can miss it out when dealing with the sum of the total.
So you are using SUMIF or you are just doing your sum peke
Total,
yake?
just sum.
That is very impractical. Yeah, it can't miss. So if you select it this way, like you just do a sum, of course, let me show you something. I go down here. Niende hapa chini and then I say is equaling to sum. And so sum, and then I pick all this information that we have here up to this point, and then eka hivi, it cannot miss. Haiwezi kosa, because this thing covers for any data that is going to appear between this part. It's impractical that itakosa kupick a certain cell hapo.
Okay.
Yeah, if I do this, it's very impractical that it will miss. Yeah, but with this tulikuwa kwa critical, high, low. Of course, this is count if. Then the range we want to count is this one, comma. What is the criteria? Criteria is this. Otherwise, I could also just type criteria as critical, which is similar, right? And then get my 3932. Kuna watu walipata 3932. Did you get 3932? Yeah, 3932 for the high, for the critical, sorry. So I could type it this way. and then come here and type that formula. So instead of that, I just reference what is sitting on this cell. So if I change anything on this cell, this one is also definitely going to change. So I can drag this down. Yesterday you talked about absolute, relative, and all that referencing. So this is a relative referencing. If I decide to restrict it, you will see that if I decide to do absolute reference on it and drag it down, utaona itabakisha na 39, 32, which is not what you wanted to do. So I think yesterday you covered things on absolute referencing. So restricting a cell so that it doesn't change. Yeah, so that is that. What else under? So that is count if. Then there's count ifs. Count ifs is going to count ifs. So criteria range 1, criteria 1, criteria range 2. You can even have 10 of them. So I can come here and say I want to count zile office supplies. Wait, do we have, which other formula do we have? Which other group do we have? We have exhaust sana office supplies. Tuko na technology na furniture. Okay. So we want to see zile technology, furniture is equal to count if. We want to see zile not technology but furniture that that iko na so this is furniture that has, now I'm going
Are
to
you doing COUNTIF or COUNTIF?
sorry, COUNTIFs, criteria range 1, criteria range criteria 1, then we go to criteria range 2. So COUNTIFs column is PP, and then the criteria is furniture, and then we want to see the ones that are critical, then comma, then the criteria here now becomes critical. So for some reason the business want to focus on hizo ziende mali zinaenda. So 722. So we have 722 furniture orders that are critical. Send it to the department that deals with shipping things out, waambie pelekeni hizi ziende. Yeah, makes sense. So that is count if and count ifs and the count ifs. What is here? Okay. Are we together? So we've seen sum, max, SUMIF, count, counter. Aha. So let me see if I can give you a question that get for me the total number of phones. The total number of phones that were, I don't know whether this is sold to. Okay, get the total number of phones that were sold to Senegal. So get for me the total number of phones that were sold to Senegal. Get the total number of phones that were sold to Senegal. And type it hapo kwa group, kwa the comment section. The numbers have not started streaming in. You need to be tapped up quick. Tap the screen and post the number. Nani to tell us the answer. Lisambe. Is it Lisambe? Lisamba. Lisamba, could you tell us the answer that you have? Or even just say hi. Lisamba, you're on mute. Lisamba, I got 7 a.m. open to correction. Is it 7 a.m.? 7. Oh, 7 I'm open to. Okay. Tuuze bidhaa anasema 7. Musembi anasema 7. Erickson Muriongi 7. Joseph Kiilu anasema 7. Victoria Kathure 7. How about you translate it to? I get something else for me here. Get for me. Tunataka kuona vitu zinakuja East Africa. Get for me. Did I select furniture as a category? Okay. Yeah, so you can get accessories that were sold to East Africa. We have East Africa here. We only have East. No. So that was sold to Africa. East Africa is not there. Africa, just say Africa. So accessories to Africa. How many accessories were sent to Africa? The total number of accessories that were sent to Africa. I said you that one, yeah. It was funds to Senegal. Tuuze bidhaa shapata jibu. So according to COUNTIFs, criteria range 1 was a country according to Senegal. Then comma. Funds 7. So for those who, if you got 7, you got it. Otherwise, there is according to COUNTIFs. Criteria range 1. I may even pick this one and say Africa, comma, and then say this part should be accessories. $232. I'm seeing 4 people typed 232. Makes sense. So these are some of the formulas that we've looked at today. Is there any question? Kindly ask a question before we drop. Any question? Yes, Victoria.
My question is, on your Excel worksheets, you're able to see the categories and the subcategories on the first row of each item, but on mine, I'm not able to see it. I don't know if it's the same thing for everyone else, but could you maybe help out with that?
This one. Hey, Victoria.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it's available. You can't see yours. What can you see on this cell A1?
I'm just seeing the row ID, but there's no the hiyo arrow button, down arrow button haiko.
Hii ni mimi nilijiwekea. Anyway,
Okay.
so what you do is, let me remove it. So yako iko hivi or probably
Yeah.
let me format paint. Yako iko hivi. Okay. So and zimeshikana. Zimekuja zimeshikana hivyo. So what you can do is to select all that data. Unaona nikiselect hapa kwa hii corner.
Yeah.
Then you can double click on any of these hizo rows zinakaa zina separate A na B. So these margins, you double click on it, zitajifungua so you can see them. Yeah.
Okay.
Then go to first column and control B. Control plus B.
Okay.
Or what you can do, you just go to first column and then click on this B here. So it makes it bold. So I was just making it bold for me to be able to see it.
Okay.
Once you have selected that column, you can come here under sort and filter, then you click on filter.
Okay.
Are you now able to see them?
Let me try it.
Yeah. But for me to make my life easier, I mean, instead of clicking that, going to sort and filter, click filter, you can just select it and click on Control Shift L. Then the filter is applied. So I mean, with Excel and every other thing, you just need to see how you can make your life easier by using these shortcuts. So you see it's applying it up to where I have data on my columns. So if I don't want them, I can just remove. I can remove those ones, but then select everything.
Okay. Could you go back on opening up the text so that you can see them clearly?
So let me see how it was. So what you do is just use. So let me try to close them up. Close some of these data points. So zikuwe zimeshikana. Wow. So what you do is you select. So if you see G is more or less like, seems it's hiding. Same to E.
Squeezed.
Same to E, yeah. Same to B if I check that. But now you just select all of them. So you click this right angle triangle. Then it will highlight all the sheets in, or maybe all the columns in your data. Then you can just you drag this until it's not really dragging. You place your mouse on this what that line that separates A and B, or you can even separate J and K. It doesn't matter. But until you see that arrow or that cross, and then double click. Once you double click, what Excel does is it resizes every column according to the size of the text. Yeah. So if you see here row ID, so this is the size of row ID. If you see this city ikiwa kubwa hivi, then probably one of the text inafika mpaka towards the end here, similar to something like this product part. It has something that has a very long name. Ndio maana unaona this whole space. So if you do that, Excel identifies, Excel arranges, yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. But that's it. So it resizes every column according to the text that is contained in the cells that you have. Eric, you have a question? Erickson. Erickson, I'm seeing your hand is up and you're on mute. But yeah, controller, have you gotten the thing?
I'm easy. I got it.
Yeah. Eric? Yeah, I'm seeing Erickson is not speaking. Okay, yeah, so was also mentioning, of course, applying bold or something. If you wanted them in italics, you can click here so that they are more or less like bending. Otherwise, those are part of edits that you may want to learn. And then now to apply that Nini, the filters, you just come and click filter here. Otherwise, there's a shortcut for that, which is Control-Shift-L. Then it applies filter across up to where data is available. Otherwise, at that point, if there's no question, I beg to stop. If there's no pressing question. Then the class is dismissed. I'll share the video, the video link, and thank you so much.